The information provided in this podcast is for educational and entertainment purposes only. We are not medical professionals, and the content discussed should not be considered medical advice. Cannabis laws vary by jurisdiction, so it is essential to understand and abide the regulations in your area. Always consult with a qualified healthcare professional before making any decisions about cannabis use, especially if you have any underlying medical conditions or taking any medications. Any testimonials or personal experiences shared are individual opinions and should not be taken as substitute for professional advice. Additionally, please consume cannabis responsibly and legally, and remember to prioritize your safety and well-being at all times. This show is age restricted. This podcast is intended for those that are 21 or older in age or have a medical cannabis license. This show may contain content that is not suitable for children to watch or listen to. Furthermore, nothing is for sale or trade. Colorado Cannatopia has nothing for sale in any social media platforms. We do not sell cannabis or cannabis seeds. We do not offer advice on how to buy cannabis, and we do not offer any advice on anything illegal.
Welcome to adventure. It's out here somewhere. Let's find it together. From the snow-capped mountain peaks to the vast plains to the dusty deserts, Colorado is a land of contrast. Nestled deep in Colorado lies a secret haven, Colorado Cannatopia. Join us on a journey to discover this hidden realm where the cannabis community blazes down. A place where individuals come together to support one another and share the joys of cannabis. Whether you're a seasoned professional or just looking for a new experience, Colorado Cannatopia is the perfect destination. So, sit back, relax, and light one up as we embark on another roaring good adventure together. Let's explore the uncharted territories of cannabis and uncover the secrets together. This is Colorado Cannatopia.
We can all agree, weed should taste good. Let the world know what's on your mind with all the Weed Should Taste Good apparel from weedshouldtastegood.com. With hats, shirts, hoodies, and all sorts of awesome gear to fit your style, Weed Should Taste Good also has a list of seeds so you can grow your own great tasting weed. Visit weedshouldtastegood.com. That's www.weedshouldtastegood.com. What's up, Colorado Canatopians? It's Agent Jim here for another episode, another adventure in the Colorado Canatopia wilderness. I'm excited to have all my friends and family here with me tonight as we're going to be talking about what I grew this last season and what I'm planning on growing the next season. Dive into a little bit about what's growing on in my neck of the woods, talk about what's growing on in your neck of the woods as well, and we're going to get into some tips and tricks about rolling it up. So without further ado, I think I'm going to jump right into rolling up, as it's one of my favorite subjects, and I kind of want something to smoke on while we're going through this episode here. So we're going to start with rolling up, and as many of you well know, my personal preference is going to be the Swisher Sweets. It's just, as far as the smoke goes, it's one of my personal preferences because it just goes down a lot smoother. It adds a nice robust smoke, but nice and full without like any of that harshness that really comes with smoking a blunt or having a blunt wrap. A lot of times when it comes to big heavy wraps, the biggest problem I find is that you're running into a lot of harshness within the blunt somewhere, and it's something that's not so appealing. With the Swisher Sweets, I know that I'm always going to be getting a product that I enjoy. I always know I'm going to be getting some papers that are not going to be dried out, and there's many reasons in which I choose Swisher Sweets over other brands, but these are just some of the reasons in which that really sell me over and make sure that I pick up the Swishers when I'm looking for wraps. Now, alternatively, I do actually like to use hemp wraps because I do not like to be smoking as much nicotine, and so I do happen to have a favorite hemp wrap, and that's going to be the Cali wraps, the Cali hemps wraps, and that might be the wrong name for them, but they all of them have all kinds of different interesting names, but these ones, they come in like a California Dream flavor, and one comes in a sweet flavor, and there's usually 4 in a pack for $1. They're super cheap, and they get as close as you can to the Swishers without actually being Swishers. So those are the ones I tend to like. The only thing I don't like about them is the wraps tend to be a little bit too wide, so I just cut off a little bit and make them to about the Swisher size. So for all those that do know how to roll, sorry for the little bit of redundancy here. I am going to switch the camera so that you can get a good eye on what I'm going to be doing mechanically, as well as just kind of talking you through all the different steps that I do to roll up a joint or a blunt. So I would like to recommend to a friend whatsoever, because I just don't feel like it's worth it, honestly. Yeah. But anyways, that's how you roll a nice fat blunt. A lot of times I like to take the ends and make sure to tap them in. That way I don't get any leaf going to my mouth as I'm sucking on it through its smoking process. Sometimes narrowing the mouthpiece can be a helpful tip with keeping things out of your mouth. From this point on, just kind of lift up the very back end and try to narrow and shorten that mouthpiece up a bit. Now, if we're working on a patched blunt like we are now, I would try to avoid the end that was, broken down. You want to try to get this end over here that didn't get any damage whatsoever if you're going to be, trying to mess with it after it's rolled type of deal. And that being said, if you're trying to mess with it after it's rolled, definitely don't try to do it after your seal has completely solidified and it's dried out. Now, if you do it after it's dried out, you're basically risking your entire blunt breaking, falling apart, and generally just giving you a hard time. Alrighty, so with that being said, that's how you roll a nice fat blunt. I really tried to put in crutches and stuff like that afterwards. I don't like to focus on that while I'm rolling, because I like to single out what I'm focusing on and trying to make sure that I get exactly what I'm trying to do. Trying to focus on a bunch of different things at once while I'm rolling kind of makes rolling a little bit harder and isn't necessarily what I'm wanting to do when I'm just trying to get it done. You know what I mean? I don't need to make this harder than it needs to be, so let's not make it harder than it needs to be, and let's just roll one up and smoke it up kind of deal. You know what I mean? So we got our smoke rolled up. Let's smoke it up. Let's try out this black glue from Weed Should Taste Good. Oh, generally, if you have a hole and you don't have a patch, you typically light the end with the hole so it burns it quicker. And by the time it's burnt, you have a longer piece of blunt that does not have a hole, so you can enjoy it longer. When lighting a blunt, it's pretty common to light the blunt first and then suck on it instead of lighting it like this, because if you light it like this, you can invite that flame to come down the blunt and burn a hole into the blunt wrap in itself. So that's a little bit of blunt etiquette for you. Left is law, right is tight. Which way do you pass? Different things like that are kind of cornerstones that brought stoner community into like a community type of thing. Me and Jeff like to call these rituals because they kind of embody us in such a ritual way where we just do it every time. We're here to do this. We're going to do it this way. This is the way I like it done, Sometimes when you are done taking your pull, you can see a little bit of smoke come out of the blunt. And those are going to be where your holes are at. And so if you're really trying to focus on making sure that you're not getting any holes and stuff like that, those are things to kind of really look at and pay attention to as you're trying to progress and perfect your blunt rolling process, or your joint rolling process for that matter. I use this exact same method for rolling joints. But as I said before, with drier papers and stuff like that, you really have to be more delicate and really make sure you don't rip them. That's kind of the most important thing about this. You want to be a little bit rough, but make sure you're being soft and make sure you don't tear your paper. But over the years, these just be getting better and better the more and more I roll them. So I think the most important advice would be to not give up, don't quit, keep trying. Because like you don't get it the first time, you just gotta keep trying and trying again until you do get it. And then once you do get it, you're gonna love it. You'll be like, hey guys, let me roll that joint for you. It's gonna, it'll be great. I used to love people be like, hey James, will you roll this? I'm like, I'll try. I'm not good at it, but I'll try. Fumbling around with it after an hour of me fumbling around with some weed and some paper and me tearing the paper a bunch of times. People would be like, here, just give me that, I'll roll it. You know, like, we don't need to mess around that much. Well, you know, just trying to help out. Just trying to be the good guy here. But, what's going on in your neck of the woods, y'all? Before I get into what I had growing on, what do you guys got growing on? What do you got excited for? What'd you grow last season? What's up? This flower's tasty. It tastes like a Gorilla Glue with a little bit of like Afghan in there. Super, super tasty. So this last year, I didn't know if I was going to be moving from my current location to a different location. So I really didn't invest into any specific genetics. And I just let the random plants grow in my backyard. You know what I mean? Because I had grow from the year before. And I had a bit of chaos gardening going on. So I threw some seeds out there, just hoping they would grow. We had some grow. I let them get, you know, mature, and then I chopped them down, and now we're smoking it. So not really much to really talk about, but I wanted to talk about it because it's not anything I've really done before. We've talked about chaos gardening in the past, and we talked about organic gardening in the past, and all these different things. And as it comes together in my life, circumstances really kind of circumvent different situations that I put myself in. And so what I mean by that is like, you know, I don't know if I'm moving, so we're going to make this choice to not invest in our seeds, and we're just going to wing it, and we're going to do this, and we're going to, you know what I mean? So on top of also just throwing some seeds out there, I really didn't really invest into the soil as much as I usually do. Usually I get in there and I like really pack down a nutrient load. Like I get that soil layered. And this last year I just like, meh, I'll be fine. And I just like threw some of the Weech Taste Good stuff down, you know, and just watered with that. And that's all I did this last year. Kind of like I did the year before, but the year before I layered, you know, did my soil thing. But like this year I just threw down the Weech Taste Good ferments. You know, mix this with my water, and that's all I used. I'm not trying to put, you know, more bang for the buck on this fermented plant extract, but I'm just saying, like, when you're in circumstances, sometimes in life, sometimes these things really help out quite a bit. And I feel like I definitely wouldn't have gotten such a dank harvest if it wasn't for the extracts. But at the same time, I feel like it also shows me, maybe you or anybody else, that gardening really doesn't have to be that complicated. It can truly be throwing some seeds out in the dirt and just seeing what happens. And you can get some fire buds that way. You just have to have the right circumstances, you know what I mean? You can't put them in a toxic environment and expect it to do something. You got to make sure that you got the right circumstances lined up for it so it has a chance of success, you know? What's up, buddy cat? My putty cat wanted to come say hi. Well, with that being said, I did get a sufficient quantity pulled off of my plants. Did have quite a few plants come up. And, I had a good amount of flower that I have available to me now because of it. Now, the strains and flavors, I can't ever reuse in any sort of way. I can kind of keep seeds from them maybe and maybe reuse them that way. But as far as that goes, all of that's kind of down the drain. I'm not able to really determine, hey, this is a strain that really works for me at that point. And I can't really determine, hey, this is a strain that I really liked growing. It was really easy. The circumstances allowed me to just put it off. I didn't got to worry about it. It just grew itself. I can't really depict too much of that besides like, hey, I got some seeds from some of these buds and maybe I can regrow some of these seeds. If I really wanted to, I could have maybe saved part of the plant and maybe try to re-veg the plant in preparation for something like that if I wanted to keep something like that I saw in mind. However, I didn't really see anything in particular that I saw was like, hey, I need that. I didn't see this quality out of anything else I've grown before, and I really need to keep this. So don't get me wrong, it's definitely some good buds, but it's not like any type of terps that really presented to me that I was like, hey, I need these next year. I need it. When it comes to what I actually received, I did actually end up throwing an entire plant away. It didn't produce any flowers whatsoever. And that is the plant I used my compost on. I chose one plant to grow some compost with it, and that one did trash. It was one of the ones I saved from last year, and so it was either a shinobi blood or it was a what was the other? Maybe the creamsicle? I don't remember what I grew last year. A shinobi blood and something else. At any rate, that was the only other one that I like really kind of saved and planned out, and it's kind of a bummer. That's why I used the compost on it though, because I was like really planning it out. But so I'm thinking the compost went bad. Yeah, it makes sense because I didn't really pay attention to my compost this year, and my kids were kind of playing in it, and anything could have freaking happened over there. You know what I mean? So, I'm not too surprised that the compost went bad, and maybe that was probably what was wrong with the plant. That aside, the rest of my garden looked great. I had one plant show some signs of like weird growth. And so what was happening is one branch wasn't flowering correctly. It just like super sparse and fluffy buds, and the rest of them were super dense. And I still don't know what necessarily was wrong or what had happened, but it was just super interesting to see and notice. I try to like pay attention to all the different characteristics like that. I mean, even on these random grows, it doesn't hurt to learn a little bit as you're going on. Obviously, I don't know everything. I don't know what's going on here in this situation. So, yeah, I just noticed weird growth, and then beyond that, I also noticed a bit of, I wouldn't say decay, but I noticed it losing a lot of its leaves. And so I theorized that maybe in the plant stock, there might have been maybe some like larva or beetle or something like that causing it to, not as get as many nutrients, and that's why the buds were sparse or something like that, and losing some leaves. That was like my best guess. But it wasn't affecting the rest of the plant, and so I was thinking maybe just in that branch. You know what I mean? Not the main stalk, but just in that branch. Maybe a beetle or larva or something going on. I don't know. Like I said, I never really did figure it out. It could also be maybe like a viral disease or something like that. I really have no idea. However, for this next year, I really want to try to get an indoor session pulled off. I haven't grown any indoor in quite a while, and that's because it's just really hard for me to maneuver the big heavy lights and get everything situated. It's a lot of work, and by the end of it, and even before it, it's to the point where I'm just like, I really just don't want to do that, because it's a lot of work on my back. It's hard. It's not easy. But as soon as the setup's done, all that stuff is set up, it makes it pretty smooth sailing and makes it a lot easier for me to get handled. So once I get that light put up, everything will be smooth sailing. Just have to get a friend over and get her put up. We'll have a nice smoke sesh or hang out or something and get the room cleaned up, and it'll be a fun time. But some of the strains I was thinking about growing were some of these seeds that I had from last year, because I had such a great grow last year. And then some of these seeds that I've been holding on to, that I've been meaning to grow. Excuse me. Some of these seeds that I've been meaning to grow for several years. And so, kind of cross between, what I want to grow, what should I grow, this and that, and I think I'm leaning towards more of the stuff that I've had in the cabinet waiting to grow, and I really want to check it out, see what it's like, and get it done with. And I think that's what I'm going to be doing indoors, working with some new strains. I got a lot of strains from joint custody, and I really want to check all of them out. So I'm pretty excited to really be going to the next step, I think switching to the next season is almost more exciting than harvest, because it's just like Christmas, y'all. It's like you're opening up these new seeds and you're checking out some new genetics, and not only are you opening up like here in the package, but then you go and pop them and you open them up in the grow room, and you get a whole new kind of set of environment. You get a whole new set of circumstances and all these different things, and you got to figure it out. And I just love that. I think that's the coolest thing. And so, I don't know. I'm stoked. As soon as I figure out what I'm going to be growing, I'll probably post it up on the group and the pages and stuff, and we'll get it going. My move podcast room back into the grow room, so y'all can see, what it's like to see every week see that plant in the background get bigger and bigger, and see the progress of that plant, and maybe we might go back to that. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But anyways, I'm super excited for what may come, and what I'm going to be doing next is I'm going to be working on some hash. I got all this trim, and I'm just waiting on somebody to let me borrow their bag so I can get through this hash and make some rosin. I got a rosin press this year, so I'm pretty excited to press my own rosin and kind of, get a nice handle on what it's like to press my own rosin and stuff like that. Watching Jeff and other people we've talked about with, rosin pressing, it's nice to sit there in the background and learn what's going on and kind of watch and be curious and everything like that. It's another thing to like physically go through the steps and put it in your own hands and do it yourself. So I'm pretty excited to take those next steps and really try it out. And the other thing I'm really wanting to get into more is growing mushrooms. And I've talked a little bit about that in the past, and I got a couple of these cultures of these wine caps and working on those, but I want to be working on some other species too and really get into that. Just need a little bit more equipment for that. I'm running gunning for that. Super excited. We got some really great episodes coming up. I'm still in the works of all of them, so I can't really talk much about them, but I'm super excited about what we have coming up. Definitely going to be working on them dreams. That's what I'm saying. So be on the lookout for these new upcoming episodes coming out. Definitely go back through and check out some of our older episodes, y'all. We're almost up to 200 episodes now. So it's a feat in itself. I'm pretty proud of myself to really be saying that. Honestly, I never thought I would be here at this point where 200 episodes in and still getting down and making it happen. So it's pretty exciting. Can't wait to see what the future leads as far as that goes too. So let me talk about this flower real quick before we get going. But this black glue, when I was growing it, grew real easy. Had no problems growing. It was one of the most pest resistant plants that I had in my garden. In addition to that, it was nice and tall plant. A little bit lengthy, but nice and tall. I really do enjoy the flavor out of it. Like I was saying, it's kind of a bit of a Gorilla Glue and a Afghan type of vibe. A little bit hashy, and super smooth. And the high, it's typical high, right here in my forehead, like I usually talk about. But yeah, super excited to have grown and smoked this. It's super tasty. Definitely going to be growing it some more in the future because it's some tasty stuff, honestly. I might be growing it next year, to tell you the truth. If not, I'm going to be growing one of these other strains from We Should Taste Good. That's for sure. I think I'm going to be growing some We Should Taste Good a lot more, honestly. And then right, put that. Yeah. Yeah. Super smooth. Like I said, if you have any questions about my rolling technique, if you have any questions about anything that I talked about tonight, please be sure to hit me up in the comments or private message me, whatever it takes. I'm there for you, help you out wherever I can. If I can't find out the information, I'll definitely do what I can to send you in the right place. That's for sure. Anyways, with that being said, I hope y'all are having a great night. Hope you're having a good evening. Hope you're enjoying your holidays. And we'll see you on the next adventure. Y'all have a great night.